It's taken 3 episodes thus far, that in all honesty took me about 72 hours in total to make, to discuss the many details that arguably make Majora's Mask the darkest game in the Zelda franchise. With the first, second, and penultimate final part finished, it's time to conclude this video essay series with one last pair of unfortunate souls forever affected by the Skull Kid's crimes. Anju, the innkeeper at the Stockpot Inn, is engaged to Kafei, the son of Clocktown's mayor. The two were to be wed on the day of the Carnival of Time, honoring a timeless tradition of Termina, based on a legend that if a couple is united on the day of the festival, and dedicates a mask as a sign of their union, it would bring luck. It has become a custom for each person to bring a handmade mask to the annual carnival, so in preparation for their wedding, Anju crafted a mask symbolizing the moon, which waits on a mannequin in her bedroom along with her wedding dress, while Kafei built a mask representing the sun. They were to exchange these homemade masks on the big day, a promise they had made to each other in their youth. But because of some major setbacks, namely a certain imp and a thief, Kafei and Anju will be kept apart if Link does not intervene. The first reason for this is that Kafei has been magically transformed by the power of Majora's Mask. Much like Link's unique predicament after returning the Master Sword to its pedestal in the Temple of Time, Kafei still possesses the mind of an adult, but he's now trapped in his childhood body. While taking advantage of the now helpless Kafei, Sakon, the local pickpocket, made off with his precious ceremony mask. Because of this event, Kafei sought out his old friend, who secretly runs the town's only black market, which the mayor is fully aware of and is implied to be a patron, by the way, as the owner is apparently a bad influence on him. Anyway, this seller of stolen goods recognized his longtime friend in his young body, and agreed to let Kafei stay in the back of the curiosity shop and spy on its customers, knowing Sakon is likely to stop in at some point before the carnival. Probably as to not arouse suspicion, Kafei dons a popular children's character mask and tells no one about his plan, or where he's staying, including Anju. Most everyone assumes Kafei either impulsively wanted to break off the marriage, or that he simply got cold feet and left town. Some correctly believe he'll come back because he must have had a good reason for taking off so abruptly, while others, like Anju's mother, know what it's like to put unfounded faith in a partner's return only for it to backfire, as her own husband abandoned her and never looked back, so she thinks it's foolish to trust Kafei's word. Her mother's got an inkling that Kafei's having an affair with Anju's best friend Cremia from the ranch, since Cremia would have a lot to gain in business support from Kafei's mother, the mayor's wife. This of course isn't true, which makes for an amusing interaction when you talk to Cremia wearing the mask Madame Aonuma gave you to investigate her son's whereabouts. But it's nevertheless wild to think about the sensitive topic of adultery appearing as a crucial story moment in a Zelda game. If Link makes no effort to find Kafei in any given time cycle, Anju will naturally become more and more depressed as her fated day approaches. She will always receive a letter from Kafei in the afternoon on the first day, and while we can't see the contents within, we can safely presume it doesn't reveal as much information as she'd like, such as where specifically he's hiding out. The curiosity shop owner and the postman are the only two in town who know exactly where to find him. Without Link's support, she won't have the courage to write and mail back a response herself, and she will not hear from him again. So on the second day, she perhaps ironically heads over to the laundry pool, where the door to the hideout is located, and cries because she's afraid to meet him, and to hear the reason why he wanted to disappear. She'll then have a conversation with her mother that evening, and without proof of Kafei's return, she'll be convinced to leave their promised meeting place in Clocktown to go with her family and take refuge at the ranch. Her mother will be relieved, though admits she's been a little harsh on Anju, who covers her face, holding back tears as she agonizes over the ordeal, understanding that it's too late now for things to turn around. On Kafei's end, unless Link stops Sakon from robbing the old lady from the bomb shop on the night of the first day by retrieving the stolen goods, or blowing them up, which kills Sakon. I am not joking. This is a Zelda game where you can straight up murder a man. Sakon will always arrive at the curiosity shop on the night of the second day to sell the pilfered bomb bag, and Kafei will always follow him once he leaves to discover Sakon's hideout. He'll then wait there until the sealed entrance is opened, so that he can retrieve his wedding mask, which will not happen without Link's assistance. Clearing this quest requires mailing out Anju's letter as Link, then meeting Kafei, and passing on to Anju the pendant of memories he keeps around his neck, which is enough to convince her to not follow her mother's advice, and to instead hold out for Kafei in town. It is only helping Kafei steal back his mask at this point that ensures a happy ending for them. If the player secures the mask but forgot to deliver the pendant, which again conveys Kafei's intentions to Anju, she'll be gone by the time Kafei arrives, with just barely a couple of hours remaining until the end of the world, so he'll die alone. Alternatively, if the pendant of memories is passed along, but Link doesn't help Kafei, he'll be helplessly stuck there until the moon crashes, which means Anju will be the one waiting patiently in her bedroom until she dies alone. The player can witness what happens too if Link presses the switch allowing Kafei to progress further into Sakon's safe house, but doesn't get to the mask before it's lost forever. The mask is kept in what I assume is some kind of bulletproof glass, housed on top of a conveyor belt, which Kafei will always accidentally activate, eventually releasing this priceless prize through a trap door and out of their reach so that Sakon can make his escape. It's a setup where the many doors leading to the room the mask is headed stay locked unless certain switches in each preceding room are pressed, requiring two people working together quickly to best. Another big problem is that while the impenetrable security system is active, the doors are one way and close upon entering, so once the two attempt to beat this elaborate trap, there's no escape if they fail. For Kafei, that is. Link can simply use his magical ocarina and warp himself to safety outside of the hideout, but Kafei has no means for exiting, and becomes a prisoner in his enemy's secret base with no choice but to dejectedly wait for his own demise, knowing very well that he let Anju down. The beauty of this complicated side quest is that there are so many different outcomes to experience, so many different possible timelines in which these two do not wind up together. What's especially tragic though is successfully reuniting this lost couple, only to be forced to play the Song of Time and rewind the last 3 days, undoing all of that development with nothing but a memento remaining to prove you did it. That's the brilliance of this game at large. It is designed so that you cannot save everybody in one single time cycle. Even if absolutely every other trouble is resolved, you will reach a point where you have to either save the old lady from the bomb shop or let her be mugged, so that Sakon has something to sell to the curiosity shop, ultimately allowing Kafei to spot the mugger and chase him down. If you don't want their love to be doomed to another fallen timeline, you could always save this quest's completion right up until Link is ready to confront the Skull Kid, leaving the unified couple's room and bolting straight to the clock tower. With all 4 of the Terminian giants freed gives you the opportunity to stop the moon now, and what a process it is. While we wait for this cutscene to play out, I must interrupt to talk about today's sponsor, Vapor95, a vaporwave-themed apparel company based in the US, with collections inspired by nostalgic 90s internet and retro video games. These are the sweatshirts my wife and I picked out, but there's plenty more on my wish list, like these incredible Ghoul Boy and Dream Cube designs by Beach Ghost. If you use this special link, which I'll also be putting in the video description, it will auto-apply a 15% off discount code when you check out. That's enough maundering though. We're running out of time here. So let's have Link play the Oath to Order, which summons every giant from their guarded regions to help pause this thing's descent. 1, 2, even 3 giants aren't enough to halt this flaming chunk of rock. It takes the effort of all 4 to keep this moon, that, if you believe is a conscious entity, never wanted to fall in the first place, as evidenced by its own tears, suspended safely above the tower. But that safety doesn't last for very long. The mask reveals itself to be sentient, and disconnects from the Skull Kid's face, coldly dropping its host's limp body onto the ground like garbage. This event, while unprecedented to Majora, is only a temporary solution. Taking matters into its own figurative hands, the deranged mask flies into the gaping mouth of the moon to possess it, proclaiming its intention to consume everything, as it pulls itself towards the clock tower with unnatural vigor. This causes the giants a great deal of struggle. They start bellowing, and their arms begin to shake as they desperately try to keep it held above their heads. As the hero of this story, Link of course trails the mask, entering the moon's maw to confront it for the final battle. For those of you watching who haven't finished the game yet, I want you to imagine what the inside of the moon looks like. Cavernous, dark, confined. All words that should come to mind, right? Well, this game's interpretation is the exact opposite of what you'd expect. Link is transported to a surreal, open field with a boundless blue sky overhead. Rolling green hills occupied by fluttering butterflies and children playing around a single tree paints a peaceful picture that works to be far more disconcerting when juxtaposed with the anxiety of just a few moments ago than a more quote-unquote realistic approach would have felt. The tranquility of this liminal space and its inhabitants raise many questions with many potential answers. There are 5 total moon children. The 4 running about are all wearing the dark masks of the bosses that once trapped the spirits of the giants, who are currently keeping the moon suspended. The 5th child, who sits alone at the base of the tree, now dons Majora's mask. What's incredibly interesting is that behind these masks, the children all closely resemble the Happy Mask Salesman, and even ask Link if he too will be a mask salesman. They all speak slowly, with ellipses, wanting Link to give them masks and teleporting him to their assigned moon dungeons to play. Like this is all some sort of twisted game, which may very well be a reflection of Majora's mental state. These kids will get offended if you offer them anything but a mask, and if Link is wearing a transformation mask when speaking to any one of them, they'll sternly direct Link to take it off and to show them his real face. Upon clearing their dungeon, the respective lunar child stands waiting in a creepy toddler's room, and leaves Link with philosophical questions about doing the right thing, happiness, friendship, and what his true face is before disappearing entirely. All happy masks earned from helping Termina's people must be given away to these kids, until they're satisfied enough to leave Link and the lonely child to face each other one-on-one. Because Link has given away his Happy Mask collection, the child now suggests they do something else, handing over a new mask imbued with dark power, so that they can play a game of good guys against bad guys. Link is the bad guy, and when you're bad, you just run. That's fine, right? In Japan, the fierce deity's mask is called the Oni or Demon Mask, transforming the boy into Demon Link. According to the Gossip Stone across from Sakon's hideout, the fierce deity mask contains the merits of all masks, a fact that's backed up by the game's creator and director, Eiji Aonuma, who said in an interview with Game Informer, when asked whose soul resides in the fierce deity mask, "The best way to think about it is that the memories of all the people of Termina are inside of the fierce deity mask. We don't know why the child wearing Majora's mask gives Link this ultimate mask with power rivaling that of Majora, but it can be speculated that Majora either wanted itself destroyed, or that the dark power of the fierce deity could somehow corrupt Link and continue its reign of terror. All we know about Majora so far is that it is an entity of immeasurable destruction that sadistically feeds on the suffering of others. Its terminal goal was to eradicate everyone in Termina, but it wasn't content to just drop the moon without any planning. Majora had to strategically make each individual miserable first, then savor the accompanying apprehension and depression felt by them all before Link arrived. And it was able to do all of this as a mask. Thankfully, during the fight, we see what might be Majora's true form, and the tendencies that hint at what exactly it is. During the encounter, the monstrosity's base form, Majora's mask, releases tentacles from its fleshy back that hang down like hair, which has horrible implications in and of itself. What if the mask had latched itself onto the Skull Kid's face in this way? Or worse, physically controlled him via tendrils reaching into his brain. After sustaining enough damage, its yellow glowing eyes darken for good, as it spins around to the center of the arena, starts violently shaking, and suddenly sprouts veiny appendages to become a lengthy bipedal creature called Majora's Incarnation, with the mask now acting as the creature's chest. This gangling form reveals a more erratic, childish, and unhinged side to Majora as it frantically runs amok, unpredictably prancing around the room, and occasionally stopping abruptly to fire orbs of energy at Link, then quickly bolting away before it can be caught. It screeches upon being hit, thrashing its arms down on the ground as if it's having a tantrum. It sings when it's dancing, and uncomfortably laughs while incessantly flailing its scraggly arms and legs. The music is both whimsical and sinister in a manner that's entirely unsettling, hammering in the idea that Majora may be less collected and more insane than we'd initially been led to believe. This all builds up to the final form Link must face, Majora's Wrath. It possesses characteristics of the first 2 incarnations as a muscly biped with whip-like tentacled limbs for arms, and emerging from its neck is a frightening, monstrous face with horns protruding from its head. Majora's wrath lets out a feral roar when it's born, but once the unholy beast is bested, it cocks its head up to the crumbling ceiling and starts disintegrating as it bursts into brilliant light, and the moon presumably loses its freaky face, teleporting back to where it should be. Either that or it vanishes forever, but I don't think so, because on Earth at least, life without a moon could be almost as disastrous as a falling one. Before the credits roll, the Happy Mask Salesman comments about the evil having left the mask in a way that suggests he's upset about it, and then proceeds to depart by disappearing. This isn't some strange technical glitch either. His vanishing was a deliberate choice, since this also happens in the 3DS remake, supporting the idea that he does possess some kind of supernatural ability. The post-credit screen reads "The End," but once you reset the game, you'll see that all of Link's masks are back, including the Fierce Deity mask, though it can only be worn in major boss rooms. Now that the world-ending crisis has been resolved, I suppose it is as good a time as any to talk about what exactly has been happening to Link as he puts on these transformation masks. From the Fierce Deity to the Deku Scrub, before Link takes another form, there's sound effects that play that sound to me like the mask is latching onto his face, or worse, breaking and reconstructing his bones to fit the new form. As the screen goes dark, he'll cry out in pain before screaming in agony, looking straight into the camera with unique, unforgettably disturbed faces. In his Deku Scrub form, Link stares into your soul with shocked, bloodshot eyes. As a Goron, his frowning mouth opens up as wide as can be, presenting an exaggerated set of pearly whites. His Zora form shows us enlarged, cracked black eyes with his sharp, fanged teeth on full display. And his transformation into the Fierce Deity reveals another look of horror with his mouth agape and pupils dilated. According to a Nintendo official Miiverse thread interviewing the Happy Mask Salesman, the reason why Link screams during these transformations is because the boundless sorrow surrounding each mask comes rushing inside the wearer when they put it on. The urge to scream is quite understandable, really. Game Informer asked a similar question to Aonuma in 2015, who had this to say: "We're talking about masks that were created to contain the memories of people who have died. Often, there are things they really wanted to do before they left this world, so becoming them is actually really painful, because it's like hosting a really powerful spirit that's coming into you." So with that said, how many times do you think Link transforms in one run-through of the game? Hundreds? I personally have Link put on and take off the Goron mask every other minute just to get around Clocktown more efficiently. So in my playthroughs at least, the poor kid is stuck suffering like the rest of the locals until Majora is defeated, and I put the controller down. I like to think that with his power to endlessly reset time, he at least takes the occasional 3-day cycle to get as much rest and sleep as he needs. But that also means the people in that timeline are haplessly doomed. Much like my other favorite video game, Mother 3, the more you think about the world of this game, the greater it becomes. Okay, that's all the time I've got. I gotta get back to playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask on my Nintendo Switch. But before I end this for good, I'd like to do a rapid-fire round of all the minor dark aspects I wanted to mention but couldn't fit anywhere else in the video. Number 1. According to a Gossip Stone and the item's description, the All-Night Mask is a torture device of insomnia, forcing its wearer to stay awake even if they want to sleep. Number 2. You can sell Lulu's rescued eggs to the Curiosity Shop for a measly 20 rupees, and sell pictographs of her to a stalker fan taken while she's too depressed to do anything else but stand and stare out into the sea. Number 3. According to an entry in her diary, Anju's grandmother feigns senility as an excuse not to eat her granddaughter's food, because apparently it's just that terrible. Number 4. After saving the swamp, mountains, and ocean, one member of the Deku, Goron, and Zora tribe respectively will comment that despite their region being saved from its curse, they still have an inexplicable bad feeling, which can refer to the fact that the Deku butler's son, Darmani, and Mikau are still dead, or to the falling moon. While they may be sheltered from the panic in town, there's apprehension hanging in the air, no matter where in Termina they reside. Number 5. Shiro. This forgotten Clocktown soldier has supposedly been here for many years, sitting on his bum, waving his arms around and asking for help, but everyone ignores him and passes by. likely because he's been carrying the stone mask, which has the power to make its wearer blend in with their surroundings and become as unnoticeable as stone. How this immobile soldier survived in the arid region of Icona for so long is beyond me. But hey, after a red potion he thinks he feels better. Number 6. The most well-known glitch in Majora's Mask is commonly referred to as the 4th day glitch, which can be easily executed by gazing into any telescope, waiting out the timer until it almost hits 0, then pressing B. You'll know that it worked when, well, the moon doesn't fall, and the regular music for that area starts playing again, rather than the final hours track. I thought this was worth bringing up because while the moon is no longer a threat as a barely visible speck in the sky, the fact that most every NPC in Clocktown tied to a schedule is missing makes for a newly unnerving atmosphere. I had a lot of fun playing around with this glitch via the Switch Online version of the game, because you can create a suspend point moments before the moon hits to explore day 4 at any time with the push of a button. Besides the absence of townsfolk, there are some creepy discoveries to be made, like camera transitions and text being gone, along with gossip stones trying to display the time remaining with garbled text. This one even laughed at me, using different voice clips from Egos to Akana and his servants. Then I entered the Swamp Tourist Center and the game crashed. Fun fact, while the glitch is active, if you dive into the waters of Great Bay Coast, you'll see the oceans turned this sickly red color, while the sky stays a dark purple, with exception to cutscenes, even on the moon. And number 7. Speaking of Icona Castle, this is the location where Link learns the Elegy of Emptiness, a melody played to shed a shell of himself, or of his current image, to create soldiers with no heart. The statues left behind are all off-putting in their own ways. Darmani is depicted with the scar on his belly, which I always presumed he got from fighting Goat, or when he died falling off of Snowhead. His eyes are completely white, just like Mikau, and the Link statue has become widely recognized as a symbol of what I think is the best video game creepypasta out there, Ben Drowned, which was actually revived somewhat recently and turned into a fascinating alternate reality game. Thank you to anyone who stuck around until the end of this video, and to all who watched every episode of both Dark Aspects of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. If you enjoyed this series, please be sure to subscribe and blow up that notification bell with a powder keg, so that you don't miss out on a new Dark Aspects upload. With all that said, I'm headed out of town. I've been told the nut brown beauties are waiting.